Hello, my name is Waldo, and today we have a series of three Scratch programs that explain the concept of repeats. Right here, we have the main module for today's explanation, the repeat module, that basically loops over and over whichever sequence of instructions that are inside of it. So let's get right into it. The first example I have here is what I call the happy kangaroo. Let's run the program. Oh, of course. It is activated when I click the sprite, so there we go. We can see the kangaroo hopping all over the place, super happy, super nice. What is going on here is that, as the code describes, when the sprite is clicked, that's what I just did at the beginning, then we're gonna have a repeating 20 times the fact that the sprite has to glide somewhere randomly on the space and then wait a period of 0.5 seconds, really quick, and that gives this really nice illusion of a hopping kangaroo. I kind of struggle with the fact that this code only takes into account the movement of the kangaroo itself. It didn't let me to set up how to take it back to its initial position, for which I had to extend myself a little bit and then realize that I could set up another sequence. In this case, I'm setting up a starting position when I click this restart button right there. So I never lose my little kangaroo again, wherever it wants to go. I just click the flag and there we go. But the concept of repeats keeps itself. I have this two set of commands. I put it into the module right here and the behavior maintains. Now we can hop up into the next example, which is pretty appropriate because now we are looking at the behavior of a grasshopper. In this case, I set up two repeat modules in here. I call it the turbo hopper because I wanted to, whoop, yes, I wanted to illustrate how the way repeated setup can change its behavior drastically, especially in the fact that repeats happen practically instantaneously. So adding little waiting periods can create different behaviors. In this case, we have a period of three repeats in which the grasshopper is going to turn 4 times 15 degrees. That is the first phase we see right here, a pretty slow movement, to suddenly jump on to a series of 50 repeats is the same number, but the waiting period between each degree rotation, allows for this dramatic difference in the parameter of repeats to feel kind of in the same time frame. Again, this repeat module is only repeating 3 times the slow phase, while the fast phase is repeating 50 times. And even so, both phases take the kind of the same amount of time. This is because, again, the repeat function is only programmed to run these commands as fast as possible for what else is practically an instance. So, I kind of struggle to illustrate how to convey this idea that the repeat function ooh, happens instantly. So I came up with the idea of, setting up two different behaviors within the same sequence of commands. With that said, let's go with the last sequence. I call it the flying bee. And this one is pretty simple. Again, whenever the sprite is clicked, in this case the bee, it's gonna switch between two sprite customs, in this case Bumblebee 1 and Bumblebee 2, and in the meantime it's gonna move 10 steps, turn 50 degrees, and wait a really small period, zero point 0.1 seconds. That is a millisecond, I think. So let's see the program running. And there it is. We can see we can see the bee flying in circles while swinging its little wings. That is because the swinging illusion is the fact that we are changing customs really quick right here. while the movement itself, again, is within this repeat sequence in which we're moving the bee 10 steps to the right while turning its direction, turning its orientation 50 degrees. Again, remember that the repeat sequence is practically instant. So these two facts are happening in a pretty short amount of time. That's why I had to add this waiting block right here. So the movement is not that sudden. If we take the waiting period, we cannot distinguish, for example, the switch between both costumes. The movement is more fluid, that's right, but we cannot see the swing of the wings. That is because, again, the repeat function whoop, executes everything inside it instantly. Oh, and you honestly, I kind of struggle to exemplify how the changing customs work because, again, if you check the other sequences, they begin when I click the sprite, but within certain number of repetitions, right? You see that grasshopper stop right here, and the kangaroo is going to stop pretty soon. But the bee keeps flying over and over and over. That is because for this last example, the bee, I used this variation of the repeat function in which we are not setting a specific parameter. We're not saying repeat the sequence X amount of times, but repeat it forever unless we hit restart. Well, thank you so much for your attention.